Hey, I'm going to do a brief little Power World simulator tutorial for 347 Homework 1. The program's a little wild, and so I thought this might be helpful. I'm going to start sharing my screen. Okay, so step one, just Google Power World Simulator, downloading the software. You can either come here, software for students, or it's going to say take you to the same spot, the demo software. Once you click that, you'll come to this page and download the Power World Simulator version 22. That will end up downloading this file for you. Once you have that, the install is super weird. Go ahead and install it. You'll know for sure that it's installed if when you try to install it again, it gives you this page where you can change, repair, or remove installation. Once you are getting that after about like a minute after install, the only way I've found to open it, I already have it down here. The only way I found to open it, since there's not a direct application, it seems like, is to look up Power World in your file folder. Come here, click on Power World, and just click through these folders into sample cases until you get here. Just click on the first blue icon. I'm doing B2, and that will open Power World Simulator for you. It's going to have this example in here. We don't care about that. All we're doing is to get this icon down here. I'm going to go ahead and pin to taskbar, and then close out of the simulator. Now I have the icon down at the bottom of my screen. I'll click on that, and that'll open a blank Power World like simulator page, which is what we want. Once we're here, we're going to come to File, New Case. On New Case, this is the start of our design. So now that we're here, open in Power World, I'm going to also open the homework PDF so that we can make sure we're inputting all the correct items. So we always start with the generator when in Power World. And before we can even put the generator, we're gonna have to put the generator bus because it has to have something to attach to. So we have to make sure we're in edit mode, come over to draw, and we're gonna come here to network. I am small screen, so the network's a little small, but it's this little symbol here. We're gonna be spending all of our time in edit mode here at the network. So go ahead and press network. We are doing our first bus. I'm gonna click over here. The only parameter that we care about here is the nominal voltage. Here we're given a specification of 13.2 kilovolts. This is already set to 138, so we'll just change that 13.2. I'm going to click OK. Now that already put it in a vertical orientation, sometimes the display will be set to like right or left. I prefer the buses to be vertical, easier to connect and to work with. So I'm going to come back here and put it in the vertical orientation. Now, since this is our generator Slack bus, we're also going to have to come over here to bus information and click System Slack bus. I don't know what that means at the moment, but it specifies here in the PDF System Slack bus, so that is what we're doing. Now that's changed it to a vertical System Slack bus. So next thing we're going to do is put the generator. That's going to be again in network generator. I just like putting at the bottom of our bus, just makes things clean and nice. The only thing we're given is the real power of the generator, 0.3 megawatts. Here we're already set into megawatts, so I just put 0.3. All these other values we don't change. That is all we care about. So we just press OK. Now we have our generator connected to our Slack bus. From there, we're going to make our load bus. That'll be the next major step to this. Oops, click load. So that'll just be another bus. So I'll just put that right here. It already sets the nominal voltage to the last bus we made, so 13.2, already good to go. Orientation set to up, and bus information, it is not a Slack bus, so that remains unchecked. And we just press OK. And now we have our two buses ready to go. So now we can either make our loads or our transmission line. I'm gonna do the transmission line just so I'm working kind of left to right. We come again to network transmission line, go one bus to the other. Now you have to double click on the other bus or else it's going to do this where it wants you to connect to another bus and so on and so forth. So we double click there, it'll come up with these branch options. Now we are given specifications for the transmission line. This 0.8 megavolt amps is what we put here in the megavolt amp limit. So here I'll just put 0.8. And then for our R and X values, we're given R and X, but they're per mile and per mile squared. And we're given a distance. So you can either calculate this yourself or easier, you can come to calculate impedance and you get this little calculator. So we'll input our R value as 0.06 and our X value as 0.2. And then our length is 80. And that will auto-populate these values on the right side, Rx, B, and G. We only care about R and X. We want the other ones to be 0, so that's great. We'll press OK, and that auto-populates them here as well. Once we're here, we're just pressing OK, and that sets up this blue orb on our transmission line, which means it is now fully set up. So the last things to set up are going to be our two loads. Come again to the network, load. I'll put the first one up at the top. Here he gives us a load. He gives us an S value. So 280 kilovolt amps with a power factor. So we'll first have to convert the power factor to the angle, and then we'll be able to get the P and Q values because here we're given megawatts and megavars to input. So I'm going to come to Wolfram Alpha. My first one is 0.85. I've already input it. Inverse cosine 0.85, and I want it in degrees is what I've specified here. And here it is down here, 31.78. So then I'll come to the next one, and I will do 280 at an angle of 31.78. Submit that, and that gives us the values. So I'll go ahead and input this top one. What I want to put in is 238, but this is in our values here are in kilovolts, and what I'm inputting is into megawatts, or sorry, kilowatts, and what I have is megawatts here. So I'm going to put 0.238. If you don't, you will get a lot of errors. And then into the vars, I'm doing 0.1475. And that's all you have to do here. If you press OK and your arrow is facing a different direction than what you want, you're going to have to go here to orientation, and you can change that there. Technically, the arrow doesn't even have to be touching. As long as you click the arrow and it gives you the bus that it's connected to up here, you are good. So the rest is just kind of aesthetics. But I like it going left to right. So I'm going to place that back. I forgot to mention a step earlier that I'll mention now. Although I just entered these values into this load, it's still saying 0 for megawatts and 0 for megavars. And that's not just because the simulation hasn't run. That's because when you double click on this number, digits right of decimal is set to 0. So right now, the smallest value would show would be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on and so forth. So here we're going to have to change this to, I just set to 4, give a very good amount of decimals. And I'll have to go to bars as well, set that to 4, and now those are correct. I'm also going to do this one right here for now, so that I don't forget later. Set that to 4. Now this is showing correct as 0.3 megawatts. And this bottom one, although it technically is 0 now, it won't be 0 later. So we just set them all to 4, just so we can get the resolution that we want out of our results. I'm going to go back and add the next load. Do that right here. This says click yes to create a new load. That's all we care about. Yes. Sweet. Pulls up this page. I'm gonna have to go back and figure out the stuff for the second load. So first I'll find the angle, and that is 0.91. And we see the angle is 24.5. Come back over here, enter 24.5. This guy is 350. Go ahead and submit that. Sweet. So now I have our P and our Q values, 30, oh, I almost did it again, 0.3185, and bars, 0.145. Again, auto populates to 0, so we just have to adjust that, both of these. Okay. So once you've done that, we are done with setting up our simulation. Next, the PDF says run a single solution full Newton simulation, and then has the following instructions. This is worded wrong. It's not full Newton. It's, I think, flow. So we're done with the edit mode. We don't need to do this anymore. We're now trying to run our simulation. So we'll come here to run mode, go over to tools, and then I'll make this bigger so that we can see everything. It's the solve power flow Newton, and that is what the PDF is referring to. When we click that, it immediately runs super fast. It gives us this percentage on our load line, as well as changes our generator voltage depending on what our loads are. So I think even if, don't quote me on this, I think even if these values weren't set to the 0.3 that we initially set it to, that we'd end up with these numbers anyway, because it calculates based on the load. I could be wrong about that. Don't quote me on that. If you will get around 81%. It might be 80, it might be 82 for the simulation, but you should get around that percent. So if you don't, just recheck all of these numbers, recheck your transmission line numbers, make sure they're all what the PDF asked of you, and you should be good. Some common mistakes are incorrectly setting one or both of your loads and forgetting the decimal. So just setting it to 238 and 148. Which is going to do some wild stuff. Before I rerun it, I'm going to reset my simulation to be ready for a rerun. So I'm going to come over to solve, reset to flat start, and I just leave the options as is. This now resets my transmission line. It doesn't it resets the Q power for the generator, but not the P. I don't know if that is necessarily an issue, but we'll just leave it for now. We're going to get the same results no matter what. So when I press solve now it freaks out. So we can see that the generator got all messed up, and even our load got all messed up. So if this happens, you probably just messed up setting a load. That is it. Some other common problems are, I'm going to reset this before going into it, reset to flat start, and then I'm going to correct these guys so they're not wonky. Okay, resolve this. Okay, so everything's pretty again. This is what we want. Some things that happen is sometimes when you double click on one of these values to like change decimal places, sometimes people, me being one of them, will change type of field. So you'll end up with like 2 megawatt fields or 2 MVAR fields. And when that happens, you just click around here, change it back. That can be a confusing. Yeah, this is different tabs and options, and trying to figure out what you need and don't need is very confusing. So I hope this is helpful, and hopefully, yeah, if you have any issues, you can reach out to me either over Discord or at manga2@pdx.edu. But that is it, and good luck.